I just finished reading A Memory of Light, and it blew me away. I'm gonna film my review right now. Just warning, I'm not gonna get through everything because a lot of things did happen in this book, but I'll try to cover a lot of it in spoilers and non-spoilers. Alright, so A Memory of Light, wow, like that, it really just, it's a crazy, crazy book. It is a roller coaster of a ride, and spoiler-free sense, you're gonna like it. It's not the best Wheel of Time book. There are better Wheel of Time books, but the ending was the best, like, part of a book I've ever read. Like, let me explain. There was moments in this book that were boring, cause again, this is the last battle. You're gonna need quite a bit of setup if you're gonna want to make a last battle as epic as it was. And some of that setup was just fighting sometimes, and it got a little bit boring. But I'm gonna tell you, it was worth it. Like, it was worth it every bit because it's Wheel of Time. I did not want to rush it. I took a whole month to read this, mainly because I didn't want it to go away from me. I didn't want it to slip away that quickly because it is such a great book. I'm telling you, this is one of my just like crazy books that changed my life. It was so full of action. It was so full of lore. It was so full of character moments that we've been waiting for as long as we've been reading The Wheel of Time. I really kind of wish I would have read this on release because I would have experienced it with everyone, but I didn't get spoiled that majorly. I've been spoiled pretty minorly for this book, but I wouldn't recommend getting spoiled for this book because it would ruin it a lot. Speaking of ruin, I kind of on a trip and I kind of like got a little bit wet, but it's fine. Like, it looks a little weird now, but and on the shelf it's kind of swollen. But I mean, the best books are always kind of destroyed if you like them because you're reading them everywhere. But I have a lot to say about A Memory of Light. Rand's character ended really well. So did all of them. I feel like except for a couple of them, I have nitpicks with, but like most of the characters ended really, really well. I have some gripes, but like overall, I'm very, very happy with how it ended, and it was just so beautiful to watch, and it made you so happy. Some of these moments put smiles on your face, and if you're new to the Wheel of Time, I would get to Memory Lane. I wouldn't DNF the series because this makes it so worth it. This makes the slog so worth it. This makes every moment of our journey worth it. And I really had so much fun. Had so much payoff in this book at Cheo Ghoul. What I love about this book is there's literally a chapter called The Last Battle, and it's over 200 pages. That's just like such a Robert Dorn or Brandon Sanderson thing to do. This is actually my least favorite of the Brandon Sanderson books, but that doesn't mean it's like the worst. Because like the ending, mainly because of the first half before the last battle chapter, I was kind of like, okay, let's set up what I was waiting for it to happen. And then the last battle chapter was like the best thing I've ever read ever since Last Battle on. It's just insane. But like I think the last two Brandon Sanderson books were perfect if we're looking at them as a singular book, those two were better because they had the better beginning, a better middle, and not a better ending, but like it's just a better all-around book. This one just had an amazing ending because it needed to end a whole 14-book series, and it did it to perfection. It was so beautiful, and it just shocked me. This is still a 5-star because of the ending. I was crying at the end. I wasn't ready for it, even though I prepared myself for over a year, because over a year ago today, I was actually reading The Eye of the World for the first time, and that's mind-blowing that we're at this point, but this is so beautiful. I'm gonna try not to make as many Wheel of Time videos, because I still need to do a Season 1 full review for the Wheel of Time. I still need to do a full review for this, and a tier ranking for the Wheel of Time, and then there's a why you should read. So I have a lot of Wheel of Time videos like I can still do, but I'm going to be patient and spread them out a little by little, so because I know a lot of you non-Wheel of Time fans are kind of sick of the Wheel of Time content right now, so I will humor you guys and just wait for a little bit, kind of wait to post them out because I know just the season's coming out, and I thought it was perfect. The show ended, and I ended The Memory of Light at the same time, and I reread Eye of the World. I thought that was a great decision because, like, it's just some of the ending. I'm glad I did. I was not not regretful that I read Eye of the World first, because it's just such a great book, and now I kind of want to reread the whole series, but I'm going to refrain myself from rereading the whole series because I think I'm going to reread them like every 3 years, but I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was just a lot of fun. You won't regret it. The Wheel of Time fans everywhere would like it. I can't imagine how you would hate this book because there's just so much to love about it. All of our characters get a farewell, and it's very, very, very beautiful. And that is the end of my spoiler-free section. I am sorry that you have not read this because this is one of my favorite books. This is really a life-turning moment for me. So I definitely recommend you read The Real Time. I am definitely not going to be the same after I read that, but just so beautiful, and I'm going to be starting to review. So I'm going to pick characters and go through them. It's what I usually do with my spoiler reviews. And I want to start where the book started, with Lan Mandragoran. If you don't remember, Lan ended his storyline, storyline in Tires of Midnight, charging for the Malkieri, because he is the last king of the Malkieri. And that was just an epic moment. It was epic. He fights a lot of Trollocs. A lot of this book, especially the earlier parts, was fight Trollocs, and I really like it because there was less Trollocs in the last sense. Because I know the first book was like run from the Trollocs. That was the main goal. It was escape Trollocs. Now they're having wars against Trollocs, and if you notice, Trollocs, they're hunters. So if you're running away from them, they'll probably kill you. But if you stand up, so that's what they were doing. They were fighting a lot of Trollocs. And like our last review, I wondered about Lan and Moraine, how that relationship would be like, because now that like he was bonded to Nynaeve and married to her, and like would it be a little bit different? And they barely even mentioned this. It was not a big part of this book. It was like they said, oh yeah, they were kind of like uncomfortable together. I wish they would have had a little bit more. Like, I know it's trying to symbolize that Lan's moved on. He's on with Nynaeve, and he's kind of done from his old life. But I would have loved some more Lan and Moraine in this book, because they were an iconic duo towards the start, and having it end without them at least getting a couple conversation moments was kind of a bummer. But I still appreciate it a lot. But with Nynaeve, he like clearly is just like fighting for the Malkieri. And it's just like and he's with Nynaeve, but like not with Nynaeve, but like their bond is so big. But like Lan's actual main storyline was just kind of fighting, a lot of plot. There's a lot of battle. A lot of the first half of this book was just plot and battle. But once the ending happened, dude, that was so cool. If like you don't remember, the Lan goes in to fight Demon Dread, and Demon Dread, it was killing everybody. Like everybody was being massacred by Demon Dread. And everyone was coming in and was killing them. And then I saw Lan charge in, just a lone rider, the last king of the Malkieri. One of the most epic moments I've ever read. And he goes up into him, and they both start fighting. And Demon Dread had said, "Oh, you're better," a little bit, and he thought he was a Dragon Reborn because he wanted the Dragon Reborn. Demon Dread is kind of selfish. He's like, "Let me kill the Dragon Reborn." That was his main flaw, even though he defeated Gawain and Galad. And he just like goes there, and then they start fighting. And then there's so many moments of like, wait, and then he said that then they both went down, I'm pretty sure it said. And I'm like, wait, are they both dead? And then the moment when Lan comes up with Demon Dread's head, that was one of my favorite moments in the Wheel of Time. Like, that moment was like, oh, this is why I've been reading this for so long. Lan having Demon Dread's head, just like here it is, boy. And that was really a turning point in their battle. That was really, really awesome. I love how Lan's character ended with the Demon Dread, and it ends with like him with Nynaeve, because like he actually, after the last battle, he goes with Nynaeve. But just a beautiful arc from Lan. I'm glad we have a Lan personal storyline other than just being the helper of Moraine. And it's just, yeah, that's why I think Moraine is not like connected with him as much, because he's getting his own personal storylines, and it really, really works. Speaking of Moraine, I'm going to talk about Moraine. Moraine reappeared from the Tower of Genji that Matt took her out of. And Moraine is a lot less in this book than I thought. She was a mentor figure. Now, Rand is in his final form, in his Jesus-like form, and now she doesn't really need it as much. She is, it doesn't say much. She says some stuff, but I really love Moraine, and I kind of wish that she would still be a little bit in it. But I'm glad Moraine survived all of this, and Nynaeve and her actually go into Shale Ghul with Rand to protect him. And it's really cool. You can see, if you have the full cover, you can see Nynaeve and Moraine. So Moraine was not a big part of this book. I understand why she was not big part of this book, because she was a lot of help to Rand when he was a farm boy, and now he is not a farm boy, and it would be so crazy to think, just to wake up and Rand is this, and not like what Rand was whenever she died. And if you remember my reaction when Moraine died, I was freaking out on my Fires of Heaven review. You can go there. I was losing it. But now it's just she's back, and I wish she had a little bit more part in this book again. Could have used a little bit more, and she had only one scene with Lan, and there was no conversation. But that's what it's just some things that you wish, and I really wish Moraine was in this book. One thing I did not like was Moraine and Tom getting married. Dude, that was just chucked in. You can tell that was thrown in there. Let's just throw another Moraine and Tom. What? And there was a scene with Tom watching the last battle. I think that's one of the only parts of this book that he got was him just watching the last battle. And it was so funny because he was like, let me choose this right word. What's the right word for this? What is this right word? And then he was describing it to make his own ballad. It's going to be an epic ballad if you ask me. And it shows you what happens when Rand beats the Dark One. And it's just, it was just really, really done really well. And throughout this book, there was obviously Pavara and Talmon. No. Obviously, throughout this book, there was the Black Tower, Ashaman, and the Aes Sedai that are warded. I think their names was Pavara and Andral. And they were just a companion piece of this book. They had a couple battles, but they were a companion piece. But they were very, very interesting because of the fact that they both are very powerful and that they can channel was a very good touch, because it's just an interesting thing to see two very powerful people, and they have an equal bond. It's more not an assistant. It's less of assistant and more of a friendship. And I think with warders, it's very, very close bonded, but they're really meant to protect the Aes Sedai, and they don't really have their own purposes other than the Aes Sedai's purposes. But this one was very, very interesting. I didn't really oh, this is so cool, but I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a very nice touch. And the one thing I have a gripe with is the ending of Elaine. Elaine is a cool character in this book. I think the whole book she was very good, because of the time when someone wanted to split her babies from her to bring them to someone. And then the part with Brigida dying, she died, or she got an arrow, not an arrow, but she got killed off. And then they were about to kill her, and then she comes back when the horn was blown. That was a really cool scene. And then she gives a speech to one of the armies. That was a really cool speech. And she's at the start of this book, she was set to lead the last battle, and it was because she was such a cool character in this book. My problem with this book is it doesn't help. It sets up this part that Elaine is pregnant for the long. I don't even remember what book, but it was a long time ago. It was probably in the Slog is when she got in Winter's Heart. I know after Winter's Heart probably. So Knife of Dreams, she was pregnant, and now that now there was no payoff whatsoever. I wish there would have been one scene where she at least names her kid, so you can have an imagination of what will happen next. But we have no idea what's happening to these twins, and why are they even introducing these twins if you're not gonna do anything with it? At least not even have them born. So I was kind of I would like to see what would happen with the twins. That's what you have to have a little more of a push off ending. All of the other characters, the main characters, had this beautiful ending that was just so perfect and so them. But hers there's no ending. It's not satisfying enough. I know she knows, she was one of the few people who knows that Rand is secretly alive, and but like there's no ending. I think that's what Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson want to do. They leave it like an open mind, like a here and you can imagine what happens next in the fourth age. But I wish there was a little more of a baseline, especially for Elena. I don't know what they were trying to do. I didn't know if they wanted it to be a little more mysterious, but that's how it worked. I didn't like it as much. Obviously, I really, really wanted to know what would happen to them, because it's just kind of like out there, and I don't know if you guys like have any ideas. If you have any fake names, just tell me about them. like I have an imagination, but I'm gonna make my fan fiction about Rand's two twins. I think that's what I'm gonna start doing. Now we're gonna start Egwene. Now Egwene, I thought, had a really good part in this book. She was at the start. She was very, very opinionated. She wanted her opinion, especially when Rand had wanted to break the seal. She was like, no, that she was not having it, and it's great because you're seeing her character develop a lot. But the way they were fighting was kind of weird. I believe Daniel Green mentioned this in one of his videos. It was like, it's just like the weird plot line, but it's just how it is. It was like, it was like different, but it was like a lot of just fighting, There's a lot of battles, especially with Shan-Chan, because like nobody likes Shan-Chan, but they need to fight in the last battle. So it was kind of a necessity. And like towards the end, she started like leading her army of the Aes Sedai, and a lot of them start dying, like massacring the Aes Sedai. And that was like a lot. That was quite a bit, because like it's just a lot of Aes Sedai, and to see them like warriors and dying like that, you would think they'd be a little more powerful, especially against like Trollocs. Like you think they could beat a Trolloc, but it's not really what happens. And the way Egwene dies in a special way. Like Egwene has it's so beautiful. It's not even like in vain. She dies channeling. Someone was channeling Balefire at her, which removes you from the pattern like entirely. And so she didn't want to reave it back, and then she said, "What's the opposite of Balefire?" And I was like, "Whoa." She was like, "You realize?" I was like, "You're right. Every weave has its opposite. What's the opposite of Balefire?" And then she dies weaving this new weave, this most beautiful weave, the Flame of Tar Valon. I think that's what it's called. It was very white, and they all win, and they like it. It turns the whole necessity of the battle, and then wow, I just kind of had to sit and stare. I was like, took a little bit to realize really what happened, because it was a very, very beautiful scene. I loved Egwene, and especially in Gathering Storm was my favorite book for Egwene. And to see her go like that was just insane. I didn't have any words. I didn't have words for a long time. Just because of that, it's just very, very perfect. It's hard for me to say that, because like Egwene was such a big character for me for like a whole 14 books, and now I see like the bye-bye. It's just, it's a lot. I don't know why she was the only one in the Emond's Field 5 who dies, which I think is fitting. She was the Amyrlin. She dies the Amyrlin. After her, I think the Amyrlin is Cadsuane. And like now it's just like a new Amyrlin, a new age. And it's weird how like Elaine wouldn't die, or it's Egwene, it's the one who dies, the one of the Emond's Field 5. Which I guess is really, really like it's like good, because like I thought like, oh, is it like the whole series was like, who's gonna die at the end? Like, like, is it just gonna be one? Is it gonna be all of them? Is it like a Rogue One kind of thing, or is it just gonna be like next journey? But it's a long age. But I wish. And then she talks to Rain at the end. I remember like when Rain is fighting the Dark One, like her Force Ghost talks to him, and like I thought she had a good ending, and she got off well. I really liked her as a character, and it's really weird to think that you're never gonna get any more storylines from her. But we're done with Egwene, so that's a lot to realize. But she was a great character. Rest in peace. Alright, the next character I need to talk about is one of my favorites, Oliver. If you followed me, if you followed my reviews, you'll know that Oliver is really one of my favorite characters. Like, he was very young. Like, people, like a lot of people say I'm a little young. And I feel like Oliver's kind of like me. Like, not I'm older than Oliver, obviously, but like he's just not really respected, and for who he is, and he really gets his time to shine in this book. This is his book. The whole series, everyone was just overlooking Oliver, and it was like, oh, he's not important. But whenever he travels with Fael to the Blight with the horn, it like his storyline took off from there. And I'm glad they had it, because like I was like, what, the first half of the book was like, what are they gonna do with Oliver? And they really did something really well with Oliver. It's crazy what happens to Oliver, because he still gets like, he still has the scared little boy. He's still a scared little boy, but he does something that's so brave. Whenever Fael was being attacked by Trollocs with the horn, because I think someone tried to steal Matt's tabak, and it was accidentally the horn that was in the box. But and then like the horn like, and then like they were taking the horn. Fael had it. Fael almost dies because of Trollocs, and then she gives it to Oliver, the first person he sees, because Oliver previously had stabbed the person trying to kill Fael. They had kidnapped the people, and then Oliver had stabbed them and saved them. And I was like, okay, awesome. Oliver gets a moment, and I thought that would be his biggest moment, but that was very wrong. He has a moment that's so much cooler. He blows the bloody horn of Valir, is what happens. That has been like that's been like leading up to. It's been leading up for the whole series. And you thought Matt would, because that's what Min's like. Min had it tied to Matt, but apparently it was no longer, because he blows it, and all the heroes of the Horn come back to fight in the last battle. I love the heroes of the Horns. Hearing them as like fairy tale stories were awesome. The whole book series, they were like the fairy tale stories of the Wheel of Time, and seeing them fight in the last battle is super satisfying. Just to say like, oh wow, these people who like especially like just to see people who've been like talked about as legends. Well, like Noel comes back because he's obviously Jane Farstrider, and he saves Oliver's life one time, and just to see like the main people is like so awesome. They just talked to Matt. Matt asked if he's a hero of the Horn, but luckily he's not. He did not want to be a hero of the Horn. But I love how he had to ask that, like, am I a hero now? Because I blew it and I'm so like connected to it. But I thought it'd be I thought it would be a good thing. I think it would be a good storyline if Matt became a hero of the Horn. But he didn't. But like it would still be kind of fun. I like Matt as a hero, just to see like if there's ever been like a book about the Fourth Age, about the Fourth Dragon, I would like to see that. It was just like Matt coming back at the end, because he's a hero. Like that was really just really excellent. And now I'm going to be talking about Fael's storyline was kind of boring, but Perrin's was really cool. Perrin finally had his battle with Slayer in the Wolf Dream in the flesh. Like, because if you didn't know, like the Wolf Dream, like he could never beat Slayer because he was not really in the Wolf Dream. And now he goes in the flesh in the real life. And at this point in this book, he was like so tired. There was points in this book where he was like one of the most tired I've ever seen Perrin. But he was still fighting. He was still going 100% to fight Slayer. He has a very satisfying ending with Slayer. I think he defeats him, and towards the end, he thought Fael was dead, and like that was a very emotional moment for him, because he spent so much of this book series trying to find Fael. I mean, in my opinion, a little too much, but like that was such a. And then he sees the Falcon, and then he goes right to the spot, and he ends this book with Fael next to each other. It's a good ending. I really liked the ending, but like it's just kind of. It's I mean, definitely my least favorite ending of the big three of like Rand, Matt, and Perrin, but it was like it's a good ending. I would like to imagine what happens with Perrin next, just because I can like only imagine they're probably still gonna do things that are pretty epic. But it'd be cool, like the adventures of Perrin and Mara. Like that would be a cool spin-off book, in my opinion. Like, or especially like Adventures of Matt Coffin, because like his ending is really cool. Speaking of Matt Coffin is really awesome. This was a great book for him. Like, he was beautiful in this book. I can't even say, like, he leads a battle. Like, his final form, Matt, like, with the eye patch and the big hat and the spear is the final form. It's just, and they're all so different. Like, Perrin is, like, Lord of the Two Rivers. Like, Paranabara, like, no longer the blacksmith Paranabara. Like, Matt is, like, the prince of the Ravens and no longer just the fool boy. And then Rand is the bloody dragon reborn. And Elaine became from the daughter of Erebor to the queen of Andor. And Egwene just became, like, the innkeeper's daughter to the Almerlin seat. They all have their positions that are very big. It's crazy how much they changed. And Matt's change is really cool because definitely Tuon's changed him a lot. And definitely, like he's a different man now. And he really just, like, leading this battle. Because, like, the leaders of the thing got corrupted, especially Gareth Bryn. Gareth Bryn dies. And he got very corrupted, like, so now Matt, since he wasn't corrupted, he was set to lead the last battle. He was leading a lot of Shan-Shan, and there was a lot of, like, near-death experiences, and towards the end, one of my favorite scenes in this book, one of my favorite scenes of the book series, was him getting even with Padon Fane. Him and Perrin got a little meeting, and then he gets, like, stabbed, I think, and then, like, Perrin, and he said, I'm gonna be okay, let me fight Padon Fane, and I was like, whoa. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. And he had the dagger, in hand. The dagger that corrupted Matt for so long. And then, so he finally defeats Padon Fane. And I was like, oh, that's what I needed. It's like, it's a thing that I needed. I think he was very little in the middle of the series. I wish there would have been more of, like, a looming presence. And he was really just the start of the series. But he did do a lot. And he got to kill him with the dagger. And he said, I love this ending. This ending was beautiful. He kills him, and he said, I had the slight urge to get the dagger. But then he said, like, that you can't be infected with the same disease twice, and he burns them away. It's all gone, and he walks away from it. And I really wanted to end there, because I was just, like, so mysterious, but, like, so perfect. But he gets one more scene with Tuon. He gets back to the battle, but I just thought it was the perfect ending. I couldn't stop smiling that happened. Like, that's what I wanted. That's what happened. Beat it, Padon Fane, and it's just like the ending, like, he put that away, he put that to bed. Gawain dies fighting Demon Dread. Demon Dread is a big boy. He's just like a very, very powerful being, obviously, because he's a Forsaken, and he keeps wanting Rand, and Gawain goes instead, and Gawain is Elaine's warder, and, like, and then this is what happens, like, he fights and he dies, obviously, and that was just such a big deal for me. It was like the first major death of the last battle. And I never really cared about Galad that much. If you've watched my previous videos, I've never been the biggest Galad fan. But it still hit me hard. It still hit Elaine. It still hit Elaine and Egwene hard. Very, because they're, like, very close to him. And especially Elaine, especially Egwene because of the warder bond. And she had to go through that. And then she just lived through it. Like, and she had to fight the last battle through it. And I'm glad that they're together in the end and up there, or wherever the Wheel of Time people go. This is just the craziest thing that, like, and she bonds, Gwen ends up bonding someone else, I believe. It's, Shan-Shan. It was really just, like, just change of pace. And, like, the Shan-Shan are very, very mean. And it's just kind of different to see. I've been a Shan-Shan hater since the start, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Like, do it. Do what you need to be doing. And, like, Perrin, like, they're all just, like the Shan-Shan, I've never loved the Shan-Shan at all. The only time I liked the Shan-Shan was whenever they captured Elida. Because I hated Elida, if you remember. This series, like, attracts very strong feelings from me. And, alright. I gotta talk about... And no, actually I have to talk about Galad, too. Galad also fights. I thought he died, but he did not die. But Gareth Bryn dies, just like this. All of the Drakons, they all... That's Rand's brother. Like, except for, Rand's brother is Galad. I can't get Gawain and Galad. I'll never get them right, honestly. I mix them up all the time. But it's just like, they're all dead. Most of the people are dead. There's so many people who just die, and some people who fake die. I was like, oh, and then it went black. I think he writes whenever Galad fights Demon Dread, he fights, and then everything went black. I don't know, I assume he died, but, like, I don't know, And now Rand, he goes and he's been fighting the Dark One in Shale Ghul the whole time. It's been a lot of dreams. He shows him a lot of possibilities of the worlds, and he really comes to realization with things that it's really not about beating the Dark One. It's about not letting him break you before this happened and not letting him go crazy, and that's what really helped him beat him. realize it's not about beating him, it's about like not being broken by him. And just really, really beautiful. And then it all explodes in a bunch of light, and like there's the ending right there, Shale Ghul. I had pictured Shale Ghul so perfect in my mind, and see the Dark One wither away. And he realized if he can't kill the Dark One without destroying everyone else, so he puts him back in the prison where he belongs. And it's really just such a great, great experience. And after that, he starts like dying, like that's like when he starts dying, like, well, that's what he said. And then like he was like, oh, he doesn't have much to live. And then Nynaeve goes like, wow, like the three, the Aviendha, Min, and Elaine don't really know. Like, why aren't they as sad as they were? Because they kind of felt like fine about it. And I was like, why are they okay with this? Like, why aren't they next to him at least in his death? I was like, okay. Like, I was prepared for Rand's final moments. And then I was like, why aren't they, with me? Like, and then they had this beautiful funeral. I kind of feel bad for Tam al'Thor, because didn't they have a duel? They had a beautiful dueling scene in this book. Because, like, them just, like, fighting, not, like, on different sides, but, like, they were just, like, practicing fighting. And it was such a beautiful scene. And so, Tam was actually finally wishing farewell, and then the three looked really, like, normal, and then they said, we have to convince people that Rand's dead. I'm like, what? And then we get Rand's POV, like, boom, that was one of the most impactful moments of the book for me. That really was like bomb drop, Rand is right there. And that was so beautiful. Rand's POV was beautiful because he didn't have pains in his side, he had a left arm again. This was like, he feels fine again, and I was like, and then he couldn't channel, he wasn't ta'veren, he was just happy. And that was the most perfect ending you can get. He was happy. He didn't have any pain, he didn't have any burden on his shoulders. He was smoking tobacco. All he had to do was think about it, and it came up. He was smoking tobacco, and he was riding off into the sunset. And that's how it ended. He goes, I wonder if they all follow me, or one of them will follow me, and we just leave it up to our imagination. And wow, it's weird because there's a lot of room for sequels here, but I can tell they're not going to do any more Wheel of Time books. But it's just such a beautiful ending. It ends so perfectly. That's what made me like cry, because especially the fact that Robert Jordan wrote that last page, and he knew what was going to happen from the start, was really, really just sentimental to me. This is why the series will be number one in my heart. The series has changed my life, and it was really a good ending for me. It was really sending them off. I can imagine what happens to Rand next, and I can imagine what happens to Mat next, especially with 2-1. He said that now Mat has an heir because of 2-1, and like he said that 2-1 said, I can kill you now, but like that's how it ends. Perfect. So Mat. And like I don't think it's really gonna come down to that, but it's just I really want to see what happens like with Perrin and Mat. Perrin I don't really care because he just ends with Faile, and it's kind of like how it is. But it's just I really want to know what happens next. And I know nothing's going to happen next, but it's a beautiful ending because I can just think about it. Think of possibilities for the rest of my life. And I will be reading Wheel of Time for the rest of my life. You can bet on that. Like the people who died, like Bella dies, it's just like, so like they didn't like talk about it, but Bella dies. And that was tough. And a lot of people die for this book, and it's really pays off. I have my gripes with it, like I told you, but it was really one of the best endings I've ever read. The last battle was singularly one of the best chapters, and the chapter right after the last battle, like the big chunk of chapters, was perfect. And it's just this series is gonna go down with me forever, and I'm probably gonna read it again and again and again, but it'll never have the same weight as it will right now. That's why I kind of felt terrible, but. It's over. I can't really talk about it because it's just really hard, but I did a short telling you guys it's over. I try to keep this video as short as possible, but I think it's over 30 minutes if I'm correct, but this is really one of my favorite books. Wheel of Time has been such an adventure, and the fact that I've read it for 1 year was beautiful, and I don't regret it. Every person should read Wheel of Time, and if you've been a while since you read it, I encourage you to read it again, or just this book, because it really shows you how impactful it is, and these characters will be with me forever, and I'm a Wheel of Time diehard fan for life, and you can't stop me. So that was my review of A Memory of Light. That was my last review. A Memory of Light it's over. It's really, really hard to think that, and whew, I'm a diehard fan now. I'm going to be rereading it. I'm going to be doing lore videos. I'm going to be talking about the Wheel of Time, and I can't wait for the next couple of seasons, but this is just a beautiful book. Done excellently. I can't tell you guys how perfectly it was done. And Brandon Sanderson, I'm going to give you a thank you for reading, being such a big fan, and finishing it so beautifully. I will be continuing Brandon Sanderson's work. Obviously, probably Alloy of Law is my next Cosmere read. But this is like some of his best work. I'm so glad he took so much time and effort into the Wheel of Time, and this was not just like a crappy ending. Because I don't know what I would have done if it had a pretty crappy ending. So, that was my review. Please like and subscribe. I hope you guys have a great day. And see you guys in the next video. Peace out.